Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're okay. I hope that you have read the chapters from yesterday multiple times and that you completed chapter 22 by yourself. Remember that I'll give you a couple questions at the end of the week to answer. So, in the end of chapter 22, they explained you how they did to get the peach to fly away. So, when I ask you about it, I hope that you know because you read it. Okay, so today we will start with chapter 23. Hopefully we will do 23 and 24 together, and then I'll give you the beginning of 25 and you'll read it alone. Okay? Let's do this. 23. In a flash, everybody was on top. Oh, isn't it beautiful? They cried. What a marvelous feeling. Goodbye, sharks! Oh boy, this is the way to travel. Miss Spider, who was literally squealing with excitement, grabbed the centipede by the waist and the two of them started dancing around and around the peach stem together. The airworm stood up on his tail and did a sort of wriggle of joy by himself. The old green grasshopper kept hopping higher and higher in the air. The ladybug rushed over and shook James warmly by the hand. The glowworm, who at the best of times was a very shy and silent creature, sat glowing with pleasure near the tunnel entrance. Remember, this is the grandma shark that it's inside the peach. Even the silkworm, looking white and thin and completely exhausted, came creeping out of the tunnel to watch this miraculous ascent. So as you can see, they finally found a way. This is the book that I have. They tie a lot of seagulls, like you can see in here, and they tie them with the thread or with the rope made by the glowworm and the spider. And they made the peach fly and they left all the shark behind. Up and up they went, and soon they were high at the top of a church steeple above the ocean. I'm a bit worried about the peach, James said to the others, as soon as all the dancing and shouting had stopped. I wonder how much damage those sharks have done it underneath. It's quite impossible to tell from up here. Why don't I go over the side and make an inspection? Miss Spider said. It will be no trouble at all, I assure you. And without waiting for an answer, she quickly produced a length of silk thread and attached the end of it to the peach stem. I'll be back in a jiffy, she said. And then she walked calmly over the edge of the peach and jumped off, paying off the thread behind her as she fell. The others crowded anxiously around the place where she had gone over. Wouldn't it be dreadful if the thread broke? The ladybug said. There was a rather long silence. Because the spider crawled around the peach. Imagine the peach is my head, so she crawled around and she had to see how underneath was going. Are you all right, Miss Spider? Shouted the old green grasshopper. Yes, thank you, her voice answered from below. I'm up the silk thread at the same time tucking the thread back cleverly into her body. And then she climbed past it. Is it awful? They asked her. Is it all eaten away? Are there great holes in it everywhere? Miss Spider clambered onto the deck with pleased but also a rather puzzled look on her face. You won't believe this, she said, but actually there's hardly any damage down here at all. The peach is almost untouched. There are just a few tiny pieces out of here and there, but nothing more. She must be mistaken, James told her. Of course she's mistaken. Centipede is so aggressive. So crazy. The centipede said. I promise you I'm not, Miss Spider answered. But there were hundreds of sharks around us. They churned the water into a froth. We saw the great mouths opening and shouting. I don't care what you saw, Miss Spider answered. They certainly didn't do much damage to the peach. Then why did we start sinking? The centipede asked. Perhaps we didn't start sinking, the old green grasshopper suggested. Perhaps we were all so frightened that we simply imagined it. This on point of fact, was closer to the truth than any of them. A shark, you see, has extremely long, sharp nose, and its mouth is set very awkwardly underneath its face and a long way back. This makes it more or less impossible for it to get its teeth into a vast, smooth, curving surface, such as the side of a peach. Even if the creature turns on its back, it can still do it, because the nose is always on the way. If you ever seen a small dog trying to get its teeth into an enormous ball, then you will be able to imagine roughly how it was with the sharks and the peach. So what they're trying to explain, this is very scientific for my knowledge. The shark's mouth and their nose is connected, not like ours. So every time they try to bite something, they push it away, mostly if it's rounded, because they try to catch it, but they can't because their noses push it away from them. So obviously, even if they tried to grab the peach with the teeth, they would have trouble grabbing it because of their noses. It must have been some kind of magic, the ladybug said. The holes must have sealed up by themselves. Oh, look! There's a ship below us! A boat, shouted James. Everybody rushed to the side and peered over. None of them had ever seen a ship before. It looks like a big one. It got 3 funnels. You can even see the people on the decks. Let's wave to them. Do you think they can see us? Neither James nor any of the others knew it, but the ship that was now passing beneath them was actually the Queen Mary, sailing out of the English Channel on her way to America. And on the bridge of the Queen Mary, the astonished captain was standing with a group of his officers, all of them gaping at the great round ball hovering overhead. The captain said, "I don't like it." "Nor do I," said the first officer. "Do you think it's following us?" said the second officer. "I tell you I don't like it," muttered the captain. "It could be dangerous," the first officer said. "That's it," cried the captain. "It's a secret weapon." "Holy cats, send a message to the Queen at once. The country must be warned and give me my telescope." The first officer handed the telescope to the captain, and the captain put its eye on it. They were thinking that the peach was a secret weapon because it's not very common to see peaches flying in the sky. "There's birds everywhere," he cried. "The whole sky is teeming with birds. What in the world are they doing? And wait a second. There are people on it. I can see them moving. There's do I have this darn thing focused right? It looks like a little boy in short trousers. Yes, I can distinctly see a little boy in short trousers standing up in there, and there's a sort of a giant ladybug." "No, just a minute, Captain," the first officer said. "And a colossal green grasshopper." "Captain!" the first officer said sharply. "Captain, please!" "And a mammoth spider!" "Oh dear, he's been at the whiskey again." "They say that he's crazy, that he's drunk," whispered the second officer. "He's been at the whiskey, he's crazy." "Call the ship's doctor," the first officer said. "Our captain is not well." A moment later, the great round ball disappeared into a cloud, and the people on the ship never saw it again. So as you can see in chapter 23, they were spotted by a boat, the Queen Mary, that's the name of the boat, and they made the people think that they were crazy because it's not very common to see peaches flying around. 24. But up in the peach itself, everyone was still happy and excited. "I wonder where we'll finish up this time," the airworm said. "Who cares?" they answered. "Seagulls always go back to the land sooner or later." Up and they went high above the highest clouds, the peach swaying gently from side to side as it floated along. "Wouldn't this be a perfect time for a little music?" the ladybird asked. "How about it, old grasshopper?" "With pleasure, dear lady," the old green grasshopper answered, bowing from the waist. "Oh, hooray! He's going to play for us!" They cried, and immediately the whole company sat themselves down in a circle around the old green musician, and the concert began. From the moment that the first note was struck, the audience became completely spellbound. And as for James, never had he heard such beautiful music as this. And in the garden at home on summer evenings, he had listened many times to the sound of grasshoppers chirping in the grass. And he had always liked the noise that they made. But this was a different kind of noise altogether. This was real music, chords, harmonies, tunes, and all the rest of it. And what a wonderful instrument the old green grasshopper was playing upon. It was like a violin. It was almost exactly as though he were playing upon a violin. The bow of the violin, the part that moved, was his back leg. The strings of the violin, the part that made the sound, was the edge of his wing. So he wasn't playing a violin. He took out one of his wing and he was playing, because those animals have their wings on their backs. So he was wriggling with one of his legs, one of his wings. That's super crazy. He was using only the top of his back leg, the thigh, and he was stroking this up and down against the edge of his wing with incredible skill. Sometimes slowly, sometimes fast, but always with the same easy flowing action. It was precisely the way a clever violinist would have used his bow, and the music came pouring out and filled the whole blue sky around them with magic melodies. When the first part was finished, everyone clapped madly, and Miss Spider stood up and shouted, "Bravo, encore! Give us some more!" Because it was amazing. "Did you like that, James?" the old green grasshopper asked, smiling at the boy. "Oh, I loved it," James answered. "It was beautiful. It was as though you had a real violin in your hands." "A real violin?" the old green grasshopper cried. "Good heavens, I like that, my dear boy. I am a real violin. It's part of my own body." So as you can see, it makes better sense in here. So this is the part that he was playing the music with, and this is the wing, and he was just doing this with them, with the leg and the wing. No, do all grasshoppers play their music on violins? The same way as you do? James asked him. "No," he answered, "not all. If you want to know, I happen to be a short-horned grasshopper. I have two short feathers coming out of my head. Can you see them? There they are. They are quite short, aren't they? That's what they call me, a shorthorn. And we shorthorns are the only ones who play our music in the violin style, using a bow. My longhorn relatives, the ones who have long curly feelers coming out of their heads, make their music simply by rubbing the edges of their two top wings together. They are not violinists. They are wing rubbers, and a rather inferior noise these wing rubbers produce too, if I may say so. It sounds more like a banjo than a fiddle." "How fascinating this all is," cried James. "And to think that up until now I had never even wondered how a grasshopper made his sounds." So he is explaining that because he has a very small horns, he is the kind of grasshopper that can make music with his leg and his wings. But not all the grasshoppers can do the same. "My dear young fella," the old green grasshopper said gently, "there are a whole lot of things in this world of ours that you haven't started wondering about yet. Where, for example, do you think that I keep my ears?" "Your ears? Why, in your head, of course." Everyone burst off laughing. "You mean you don't even know that?" cried the centipede. "Try again," said the old green grasshopper, smiling at James. "You can't possibly keep them anywhere else." "Oh, can't I? Well, I give up. Where do you keep them?" "Right here," the old green grasshopper head, one of each side of my tummy. Wow! So his ears are on the side of his stomach in here. He doesn't hear from this side like a human that have the ears beside his head. He have them in his stomach. in their legs. One of each in front leg, just below the knee. You mean you didn't know that either? The centipede said scornfully. Wait, I don't really understand if they're on the stomach or in their knee, but they're near the stomach. It says in their legs, one in each front leg. Oh, here. So you can, when I ask you, you can write in the stomach or in the sides. You're joking, James said. Nobody could possibly have his ears in his legs. Why not? Because it's ridiculous, that's why. You know what I think it's ridiculous? The centipede said, grinning away as usual. I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's ridiculous to have ears on the sides of one's head. It certainly looks ridiculous. You ought to take a peek in the mirror someday and see for yourself. Pest! Cried the airworm. Why, you must always be so rude and rambunctious to everyone. You ought to apologize to James at once. So, you have seen that the centipede is quite a personality. He likes to give his opinion, even sometimes his opinion can be a little offensive. And right now, he was offending James by telling that his ears are ridiculous. But I could have never imagined that a grasshopper has his ears on his legs or his stomach. Number 25. And I'm going to start it, but you're going to finish it. James didn't want the airworm and the centipede to get in another argument. So he said quickly to the airworm, Tell me, do you play any kind of music? No, but I do other things, some of which are really quite extraordinary, the airworm said, brightening. Such as what? Asked James. Well, the airworm said, next time you stand in a field or in a garden and look around you, then just remember this, that every grain of soil upon the surface of the land, every tiny little bit of soil that you can see, has actually passed through the body of an airworm during the last few years. Isn't that wonderful? It's not possible, said James. My dear boy, it's a fact. You mean you actually swallow soil? Like mad, the airworm said proudly, in one end and out the other. But what's the point? What do you mean, what's the point? Why do you do it? We do it for the farmers. It makes the soil nice and light and crumbly so that things will grow well in it. If you really want to know, the farmers couldn't do without us. We are essential. We are vital. So it's only natural that the farmers should love us. He loves us even more, I believe, than he loves the ladybug. The ladybug, said James, turning to look at her. Do they love you too? So you are going to discover why do they love the centipede too, okay? Oh wait, the ladybug. You are going to finish chapter 25, and then I hope that you complete it. Remember, at the end of the week, I will give you, well, not at the end of the week. I think that I will give you one more video, and then I will give you a video of questions, okay? So I hope you're okay. I hope you're having fun, and I'll hope that I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.